Alright, today we are going to be looking at winding some yarn. We're going to go over a couple of tips and tricks. So first, you'll take your yarn and you'll put your fingers through the main body of yarn and kind of unwind it. Then you'll put your hands through and you're going to snap it out. What this is going to do is this is going to help loosen up the fibers. It's going to help you make sure that you don't have any strands that are crossed over. Because that will cause tangling during the winding process. So you'll kind of want to look it over, make sure everything is nice and lined up. Another thing that's important is the ties that are holding it all together. You want to make sure that there isn't a piece of yarn that is looped over a tie, so you want to keep an eye on that. And then you want to make sure you don't cut any of your ties until it's actually on the Swift. So I've got this pretty well snapped out and everything looks nice and lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and put it over my Swift, and then we're just going to lower this. There we go. It's kind of a new one here, so getting used to that. Now another thing you can do is you can kind of look it over, make sure everything is nice and loose. I like to spread it out a tiny bit, make sure nothing's crossed over in a weird way. At this point, we will take our scissors, and I like to find there's going to be one tie that holds all of it together. So you can tell because it's got extra yarns in there. So I like to save that one for last because that's actually what is going to cut the strand that you're going to use for winding. So like this one, for example, we'll just snip that right off. And then pull that out, and you can see all the yarn still nice in there. And when I'm doing this, I'm being very careful. I'm not cutting anywhere close to this, and I'm making sure that I'm cutting right where that knot is. So again, that's just going to help prevent me from causing extra breaks in this yarn. And of course, if you accidentally cut it, that's fine. You can tie a little tiny knot. It's not the end of the world. I'll cut that one also. Okay. Looking good, looking good. All right, so here we are at our last tie. Now because the knot is on the inside, I like to turn that out. But when you do that, you want to make sure you rotate all of the yarn so it's all going the same direction. Depending on where your strands end up, I might even rotate it a few times. But you want to make sure this is nice and flat and not twisted. So this being our last tie, you can see it's much more complicated here, right where that knot is. And then I'm going to find the tie that's holding it all together. Pull that out gently, and you can see right here, that's where we've got our fiber. Now, thing that's important, you can see that this strand is actually coming up inside of here, which means that it's going to be trying to pull from the inside. So again, I'm actually going to turn this one more time. So that is on the outside. So we're going to turn that, and we're going to go all the way around. Making sure that stays nice and free flowing here. And then we are back at the beginning. So after you unwound it, it's okay if you have a little extra here. You can just simply spin this, and that'll resituate everything. And then you want your tension to be right when you get it started. Put it on the actual winding machine. Pop that through there. We're going to turn this on. You can start it out at a lower speed and then turn it up as you go, depending on which type of yarn you have for your base yarn. Some of them wind better at a higher speed, some of them wind better at a slightly lower speed, so it's important not to take and try to wind it too tightly. So we'll just turn this guy on. It's going to get things started. I think I can turn that up just a bit. And there you go. Now, you can walk away. I don't recommend it. I do recommend watching this. If it, for some reason, does have a snag, you want to be right here so that you can stop this, kind of get things situated, and then get back to winding. One thing when you're winding your Odang, we do recommend putting it in the freezer for 10-15 minutes before winding. That's going to help relax the fibers and make it a little easier to wind.